Thank you for having a chat. The movie's out of the gates. Are you exhausted yet from all of the media, all of the Q&As and whatnot?
Not yet. I mean, it's I've had little tiny breaks between each film festival, but as of Monday, I'm heading off for a 5 week tour of. I'm going to Zurich, then London Film Festival, then off to America, where we're releasing October 24. So the Americans distributor have a lot for me to do, and of course, America's a massive market, so I think that's when I'll be completely knackered. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely buggered. But look, this movie hit me really hard. Like, it is a beautiful, beautiful film, and it's easily your best. So, like, congratulations firstly.
Oh, thanks, Glenn. No, that's it. It's interesting because the film's so fresh and meeting people after Q&As. What's interesting is how young everyone is, not because I'm old, but also that I've realized a lot of young people have watched my films or been forced to watch my films at school. And so there's this whole new generation coming up who are aware of my work. In the past, it's been the grey-haired brigade who've watched my films. So yeah, that's really nice.
I'm not so sure this one's going to make it into the school syllabus.
No, there's that orgy scene which sort of spoils it for the kids.
Yeah, like that. I mean, on that, like, there are some fantastic, quirky things in here. The themes are very mature: sex, masturbation, key parties, all that. Um, do you get much resistance from like the people who are investing in this, like, to maybe tone it down and make it more appropriate? I don't think it needs it. I think it's better for it, but I'm wondering.
Yeah, look, I think the investors are always slightly nervous. I think with this time, the only things I really had to tone down were originally Pinky swore a lot more and
Mm.
she said the C word quite a bit. Uh, so we sort of toned that down a bit. But I'm glad I did because I didn't want her to be too over the top. She's already quite,
Yep.
colourful. But no, I think, the investors know and they have always known that my films are boutique and are for a niche market and for teenagers up. There's certainly never been,
Mm.
nor would I ever take any little kids to any of my films. Not that I have. Uh, and I think with each film I've tried to push the boundaries a bit more and have stuff that's slightly more challenging and thought provoking. Um, I try and even though I do repeat motifs, snails and
Mm.
there's things I recycle a lot. I do try and make each film to be, more progressive and edgy than the one before. And I think that's just because society and as viewers, we all are so literate now on cinema and we have so much access to so much great storytelling and films and series that the audience are more demanding than they used to be and want content that is more sophisticated and challenging and that forces writers like myself to work harder and so we should.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the term boutique. I think that's perfectly apt for what you do. I love that. Um, I'm very curious to just to know about the Aussie, centric stuff, like because it's such a Melbourne film, and like I love all of the Aussie colloquialisms and all that, the larrikin side of it. Once again, is there any debate in your mind whether to go so hard on the local stuff, when you've got an international market?
Oh, sure. Look, I'm always questioning whether certain Australian icons or foods or characters are too Australian. There's that. I think our Australians have a certain tolerance level for stuff that gets too. I mean, even Vegemite, I was questioning, oh, is that too Australian? And then I had that shot of a koala in a tree, and I thought, oh, we leave that in. But the thing is, I'm trying to get that balance of pleasing an Australian audience, but also, showing our Australianness to an international audience. And particularly the French love and see us as quite exotic. And the more kangaroos bounce down the street, the better. But it's, luckily I have very astute producers and a wonderful editor who knows when I'm going too far or something's getting too sickly or
Yeah.
nostalgic. Yeah.
I wonder if like Bluey has broken down some barriers too, because like I know the Americans are all about the Aussie stuff that's in that and the larrikin side of it. So maybe.
Yeah, no, Bluey, there's so many wonderful things about Bluey. It'll take a whole hour for me to go on about. But Bluey's broken through and done what Crocodile Dundee did all those decades ago. And I think Australians are quite patriotic, even though we don't know the words to the national anthem. And I mean, when I say patriotic in a good patriotic way,
Yeah,
not
I know, I get you completely.
um, but we want our films to do well overseas, and we want the Americans to like us and enjoy storytelling. I'm similar. I don't want to just tell stories for us here.
Yeah.
That's important, but I when I write, I'm thinking in universal terms. What will people in Japan and Sweden will
Mm.
they relate to the characters? So it's that universality I'm trying really hard for.
For sure, for sure. And your cast is just amazing, particularly obviously Sarah Snook. Like, what a wonderful demeanor she has with this narration. And I'm wondering how hard you had to workshop with her to get that nuance right.
Yeah, look, she brought so many other dimensions to Grace that I'd never had thought of, and she brought a quietness. And
Mm.
Sarah is actually quite shy, and she's very different to the character she plays, and she has that vulnerability. She just ticked every box, but when we got her in and started to listen to her voice, it just had so much nuance, and there was melancholy, there was self-deprecation. She just had it all. I mean, it's watching actors of her caliber is really uh they're amazing to watch because you realize that acting is way more than just pretending.
Yeah.
At the time, she was also learning to be she was in the lead in The Picture of Dorian Gray
Mm.
in England and won an Olivier Award for it. And she had to play 35 different characters in an hour and a half without an interval and multiple costume changes. And she learned all that by herself. I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't know where to begin with describing what it's like to see someone like that. I rarely use the word genius, but there are
Mm.
certain actors. I think I put her in the same category as Philip Seymour Hoffman. Working with him, he was incredible to watch and
Mm.
learn from. Um, so yeah, I'm very lucky. We got all the actors we wanted, and it's a very eclectic cast. Of course, we had Nick Cave as well,
Yeah.
and wonderful people like Paul Capsis who played Ian and Norell.
Oh
Yeah,
my God. Listening to Nick Cave, like, what I can't remember what he said, but like want to be between your thighs. Like I couldn't like get enough of it. Like it was so delicious.
oh, I wished I'd written a longer. When I wrote that poem, I never would have, in a million years, would have guessed Nick Cave was going to voice it. And yeah, when we recorded him, he said, "What sort of voice do you want me to do?" And I said, "No, no, no, I don't want. I just want you to be Nick Cave." And how Nick Cave do you want me to be? And I said, just amp it up a bit, just be a bit more Nick Cave than Nick Cave. And
I love that.
yeah, he was great.
Do you have a favorite Aussie mannerism or colloquialism? Because I know you'd love jamming them into the film, and that's what to me really makes it so
Um,
charming.
well, look, I've always had obviously an affinity with Chico rolls, which just is, there's something, but also equally footy franks. I remember on a Saturday morning, I don't know why they were called footy franks. Maybe that you'd get home from sport or whatever sport was inflicted upon me. I hated playing sport, but you get home and in the afternoon you'd have footy franks dipped in tomato sauce. Yeah, I think I love Australian foods, and I think in Mary Mac's I had cherry ripes and sweetened condensed milk. It's all the things I ate in the 70s, which were primarily sugar. Everything was sugar.
Uh-huh. Yep, yep. Little cocktail franks and fairy bread. That was the best.
Yes, very red.
Um, so right at the end of the film, at the end of the credit scroll, you've got this film was made by human beings, and I'm just wondering, that's a nice touch, but was that your polite little statement about AI creeping into the industry?
Oh no, not originally. It was more just to remind the audience that this was a stop motion film, and there was no CGI. Which all my films I've always uh, aspired to have the film as in camera and done with traditional techniques as possible. But of course, CGI has crept into stop motion, and there's a lot of hybrid stop motion now where there's a lot of CGI and I mean, we certainly use green screen and we do digital cleanup, but we don't
Mm.
do anything digitally. So our fire is yellow cellophane and the smoke is cotton wool, and we could have done all those with CGI, but we wanted to keep the film as traditional looking as possible. But having said that, that quote I put in at the end is now very apt for AI. And at the Annecy Animation Festival, they showed their very first short animated film that had an AI component to it.
Mm.
And the audience booed it. And I feel sorry for the filmmaker, but yeah, there's been a very strong reaction against AI in the animation world and a lot of fear and there's people say, oh, it's just a tool, but it's way more than a tool.
It's a cheat.
I think as a writer, I'm probably more fearful of AI than I am as a stop motion animator. But yeah, look, I'm skeptical when I hear people say, "Oh no, the fear of AI is, everyone's overreacting." I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's not quite Photoshop or I remember when laser discs came out, everyone said, "Oh, that's the end of cinema. It's all going to be about the laser disc." Well, we know how that panned out.
That's right. That's right. Look, I'm almost out of time, but one final thing I want to wrap up on is I feel like stop motion filmmaking is in a good place at the moment because recently we've had things that I've loved, like I loved Mad God, Marcel with the Shell with Shoes On, I really enjoyed.
Oh, of course.
Even there's a horror film called Stop Motion. I really like that.
Oh, yes, Robert Morgan. Yeah, he's an old friend of mine. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, you're right. There's it's going through a really healthy phase.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite stop motion film?
I think probably not. I think it's my favorite because it was probably the first time I was exposed to surrealist or adult stop motion, and that was Jan Svankmajer's film Alice. His interpretation of Alice in Wonderland, which is very dark and very disturbing. So Jan Svankmajer, for those who don't know, is a Czech animator who made a lot of his films under communist rule, and they all have a real surrealist bent to them. So, but in more modern times, I certainly, rewatched Chicken Run the other day,
Yeah.
and I think that's Aardman's, that's their best. Where Rabbit was pretty good. I haven't seen the new Chicken Run, of course.
Yep. Yep.
Nick Park's become a friend, and I think what Aardman have done is really validated the art form and kept it alive and made my life so much easier. It's been so much easier for me to get my films financed when I say, oh, well, I want to make this new film. It's just like Wallace and Gromit. Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Awesome. Well, mate, I just love your cinematic voice and I love your sensibilities and your quirks and mannerisms. So thanks so much for making this film and all the others and having a chat with me. I hope this one really takes off for you.
Oh, thank you, Glenn. Yes, there's that horrible expression, you're only as good as your last film. So I hope this one does well.
Yeah, you got nothing to worry about, mate.
Thank you.
I wasn't always this alone. My childhood was full of people. The nurse said we had two souls, but one heart.
Hey, morons! Look, Gracie, they're hugging.
I believed in glasses half full and silver linings. Then my glass was shattered.
Bye, Gracie. Bye, Gilbert.
We had no choice but to move onwards. Pinky was the only colour in my life.
Bugger.
Losing a twin is like losing an eye. You never see the world the same way again.
Life isn't about looking backwards, Gracie. It's about living forwards. The worst cages are the ones we create for ourselves. It's time for you to shed your shell. Set yourself